Welcome back, dear students. We move to the next concept of exception handling, which is using keyword through. In the previous video, we understood the concept of nested try. Now we will see what is the use of keyword through. Remember, this through keyword is actually throwing an exception explicitly. By explicitly, I mean you may not have the situation, you may not have statements which are causing exception, but you yourself want to throw that exception. You will see in future that it's really a good facility to have. uh, I mean, deliberately throwing an exception. If you want to throw an exception, even if a statement is not there, like division by zero or array index or string index or memory out of bounds, so even though situation is not there, but you still want to throw an exception, you can use keyword through. This is especially useful when you are trying to throw exception which has been created by you. I mean, it is not an exception which is predefined in Java, but in your application, if you have got a situation where you would like to throw an exception, then this will certainly help. Okay, so when you want to throw an exception, you will use a keyword throw, and then here you will write object of the class of the exception that you want to throw. Remember, keyword throw can only be used with the objects which are subclass of throwable or exception class. It is absolutely not possible that you throw you use keyword throw with a string class or maybe any other class which is not a subclass of throwable. So this throw keyword can only be used with those classes which are subclass of throwable. Right. Okay. So there are two ways to obtain a throwable. The first one is obviously when you are catching an exception, you can rethrow it. And the second one is you can use new keyword to throw an exception. You will understand this with a couple of example. Let us see an example which use throw to throw an exception. Right. Let's see here. Control new class throw demo. Right. I have got public static void main string arg. Okay. Now see what we are doing. I write here maybe a message system.out.println, maybe hello world, right? And when I come here, I say through array index out of bounds exception, right? What I'm doing, I'm actually creating object of array index out of bounds exception, right? And then I'm writing here another statement system.out.println. This is a statement after exception. Right, now you can see here we are throwing an array index out of bounds exception, but this time this exception is not because of any statement which is causing array index out of bound, but this is because of we are throwing it deliberately. We are using keyword through, and then we are creating object of array index out of bounds exception. Right, let's take its behavior. Throw demo.java. Right. Okay, so Java C through demo.java system.out unreachable. Okay, now you can see here this statement actually becomes an unreachable because this is being compiler will identified. Compiler knows that throw will inevitably throw an exception. So that is the reason why this statement will be unreachable. So obviously it cannot be written here. You need to understand that compiler knows that when you use keyword throw, compiler will be certain that this exception will be thrown, and you know that code will be terminated. So compiler knows this is never reachable. This next statement is never reachable. And Java keeps a very good check on statements which are unreachable. In this case, the second system dot out dot println is actually unreachable. Right. Let's take it. Java C. Now it has been compiled. Java C through demo. Right. So you can see here. Class to demo accepted annotation. One error. Class to demo. THROW demo. Yeah, come on. Java through demo. Okay, so you can see here. We can see hello world here, but then this array index out of bounds exception has been thrown. Right. Obviously, you can keep this inside try. Then you can, as usual, you can catch it. Right. I can even catch it with the exception. You know that, huh? We have discussed this in the previous video, that all the exceptions can be caught by this base class exception, right? And then I write here system.out.println, and then we simply print E. Right, now this statement is okay because it is reachable, huh? Because now we know that we are throwing exception by using keyword throw. We are catching it. Program will not terminate. The control will reach to this next statement. Right, now this time we are throwing exception, but then we are again catching it. Okay, CLS Java C. Oh no, Java. Right. Okay. So you can see this. Okay. So you can see hello world. Then exception has been caught, and then the next statement continues. Right. So this keyword throw is actually used to throw an exception deliberately. You may not be able to appreciate this keyword at this stage. You would be saying, come on, why would you throw an exception deliberately? Because exception is not a good thing. Why would you throw an exception if we do not have any situation of throwing an exception? You will learn it because this keyword is very important when you want to throw exception which you have created and which is not a predefined statement. There obviously you will be needing it more. But the point is this throw keyword can be used to throw an exception explicitly, even if situation is not there. Right. Okay. We can also use rethrow. We come here. I can write through E. You can see it. I mean, inside catch block, we are catching exception, but then kind of dropping it, rethrowing it. Because when you catch E, you are actually catching exception. So E is the object of exception class. So you can throw it because this is driven from, exception class. So obviously you can throw it. I come back here. We see Java C. This error will haunt me. Okay. Again, because we are throwing exception inside catch block, so this becomes unreachable, right? Okay, CLS. So you can see here, program has been compiled.